All right, today we're headed to Hampi, an absolutely spectacular historical site in Karnataka, India. And what you're seeing, it's not just a bunch of ruins. This was once the incredible capital of a massive empire, a city that was lost to time but is now thankfully rediscovered. So let's get into its story.
To really get a feel for Hampi, you've got to imagine it in its heyday. Picture this, a sprawling, powerful city right on the banks of the Tungabhadra River. We're talking one of the largest and wealthiest cities on the entire planet, famous for its grand temples, its stunning palaces, and markets so busy they drew traders from all over the world. You know, the historical importance of this place is just staggering. It was such a big deal that in 1986, UNESCO stepped in and declared Hampi a World Heritage Site. And that's a good thing, because it helps make sure its incredible story is preserved for all of us. So here's how we're going to walk through Hampi's story today. We'll start with how it became an imperial capital, then we'll check out its flourishing golden age. After that, we'll explore its incredible architectural marvels, witness its tragic Great Fall, and finally, listen for Hampi's echo today.
Okay, let's start at the beginning, with its role as the imperial capital. How exactly did this place become the beating heart of one of South India's most powerful empires? Well, the whole story kicks off with the rise of a new dynasty.
So, Hampi was the capital of the Vijayanagara Empire. And this wasn't just any empire. It was a dominant force that ruled over most of South India for more than 200 years. Its influence was huge, shaping the culture, art, and politics of the whole region.
And the origin story is pretty fascinating. Back in 1336, two brothers, Harihara I and Bukaraya I, founded the empire. They made a really smart move, choosing Hampi's rocky, naturally defensible terrain for their capital. It didn't take long for it to become this powerful political and cultural hub, and by the 16th century, it was a genuine global powerhouse.
And that incredible foundation? Well, it led directly to the city's absolute peak. We're now entering its flourishing golden age, an era of wealth and prosperity that's hard to even imagine, especially under its most famous ruler, Krishnadevaraja. Under Krishnadevaraja's rule in the early 1500s, Hampi just exploded as a global center for trade. I mean, merchants were coming from as far away as Persia and Portugal to get in on the action. And listen to this description from a foreign traveler. They called it a rich city filled with markets selling diamonds, spices, silk, and precious stones. In an era like that, you can bet that art and architecture were flourishing like never before.
And all that wealth and creativity brings us to the legacy you can still see and touch today, Hampi's architectural marvels. And this isn't just about cool buildings. This is about an entire city literally carved out of a landscape of giant granite boulders. The skill and the artistry involved are just, well, they're breathtaking.
The variety of buildings here is just incredible. You've got these iconic temples like Vittala and Virupaksha, but they're right alongside the pieces of a real working city. The ruins of royal palaces, massive stables for elephants, huge market streets, and these imposing watchtowers.
Out of all of them, though, two temples really steal the show. First, the Vittala Temple. It's a true masterpiece, famous for its iconic stone chariot and these bizarre, amazing musical pillars that actually ring with different notes when you tap them. Then you have the Virupaksha Temple, one of the oldest and most important sites. It's dedicated to Lord Shiva, and, amazingly, it's still an active place of worship today, hundreds of years later.
And just to give you a sense of the scale, we're not talking about a little village here. The core of the ancient city spreads out over more than 25 square kilometers. It's basically a gigantic open-air museum, all set against this surreal landscape of boulders and the winding Tungabhadra River.
But you know how these stories often go? This golden era, this incredible city, it wasn't destined to last. Every great story has a turning point, and for Hampi, it was a sudden and violent one. This brings us to the Great Fall, and it all revolves around one single devastating event, the Battle of Talikota. So in 1565, everything changed. The Vijayanagara Empire went up against a coalition of powerful neighboring kingdoms, the Deccan Sultans, and they were defeated.
what happened next was just brutal. The victorious armies marched on Hampi, and for 6 months, they ransacked it, burning palaces, smashing temples, just destroying everything. The magnificent city was left totally abandoned and in ruins.
And this wasn't just the destruction of a city. This event marked the absolute end of the Vijayanagara Empire's dominance. One of the most powerful, wealthiest empires in South Indian history had fallen, and its glorious capital was silenced, pretty much forever.
So, after all that destruction and centuries of silence, what is left? Well, that brings us to our final section, Hampi's Echo today. This is where we see how this lost city's incredible legacy lives on in its stunning ruins. Today, Hampi is a place that just captivates thousands of travelers and historians every single year. You can wander through these majestic ancient temples, stand in awe right in front of the Stone Chariot, trace the foundations of the old royal buildings, and just soak in the absolutely breathtaking landscape. Every single ruin whispers a little piece of the city's grand story.
So in the end, Hampi is so much more than just a collection of old ruins. It's this powerful, living reminder of both the glory and the tragedy of the Vijayanagara Empire. And as you imagine walking among these stone giants, it kind of leaves you with a question. What stories do these ancient stones still tell?